Welcome to my summary and thoughts on the Sims 4 Lovestruck Developer Livestream that took place on Thursday, July 18th. Hello, my name is Jennifer and welcome to my Sims 4 news video. So they had the livestream available to watch both on YouTube and on Twitch. However, the chat was disabled on YouTube, but it was enabled on Twitch, and I will share some screenshots of some of the chat responses from the official The Sims over on Twitch while I'm going through this. So we're going to start with what's coming to base game that I could see in the live stream itself. So to begin with, we are getting those eyelashes. We're getting 2 styles for base game, and there are 2 coming in Lovestruck. They come in 2 different colors, and they're available for teen Sims and up, and they have their own category, so you can wear them with eyeglasses and whatnot. They're also adding the ability to apply some things to multiple categories, including eyelashes and eyeglasses and tops and shoes. And there was actually a message in the Twitch chat where they said, "You spotted correctly, one of the base game updates we'll be adding is a new apply all feature in Create a Sim that will allow players to add accessories, makeup, hair, and outfit options to multiple categories." So it's coming for that. Yay! And the other thing that is coming to base game is this romantic boundaries, which we already knew because they had mentioned that in the blog post, but this is essentially how it works, where there are 3 actual categories with respect to the type of romance, and then there's one as to whether or not a sim is open to changing or not. So the first one is that the sim feels jealous if any romantic partner engages in non-physical romance with other sims, i.e. they flirt with them. The next one is the sim feels jealous if any romantic partner engages in physical romance, excluding woohoo, with other sims. And then the third one is that the sim feels jealous if any romantic partner engages in woohoo with other sims. And then the final one is that the jealousy triggers can change by talking about it with other sims, and you can say yes or no. So the default for existing saves and existing sims is going to be yes across the board, but you can go in and change it. You can see it's under where the gender settings are, gender, sexual orientation, and romantic boundaries. I don't know if this is one that you would have to use change sim to change, which isn't a cheat. You just use the change sim option. They didn't mention it. They just said you can go in to create a sim to change it. But newly created sims that are generated by the game could come with different boundaries than this default of yes across the board. That is what they said. And again, this is obviously a base game change. The other thing that they're adding to base game is the ability to set a partner, but also they're making it gender neutral. So husband, wife now became a spouse. Fiance became engaged, and we now have the ability to set a partner, i.e. like what would have been boyfriend, girlfriend in the game, and is now partner. I thought they would probably do that because of the fact that the Lovestruck pack is adding romantic dynamics that you can see in Create a Sim, and so I figured they needed to have that setting in Create a Sim, and so yeah, I got that one right. That is coming. This part, of course, is coming to base game. The romantic dynamics will be later and will be coming to Lovestruck itself. And the other thing, I couldn't tell for sure from the live stream, but there was extra early access came out today. And I saw from Urban Sims X, her thumbnail, that this hide relationship is a base game thing, which is something that they're adding. I kind of wondered if it was base game. So if you don't want to see a sim on your relationship panel, in this case, she had broken up with the one sim, you can hide the relationship. It doesn't remove the sim from the world or the save. It just hides the relationship. If you happen to interact with them again, it'll show up again. They'll come back on your relationship panel. So they're not even gone permanently in that way. You can bring them back by doing that. And it pops up and asks you that and tells you that when you're doing it. And then the other thing that they're adding is in the game options under music, they have now added this safe for streaming toggle. So you enable the play of only selected songs that are safe for streaming. Streaming safe songs are marked with an asterisk, and they are intending to add more streaming safe songs for like when you're streaming Sims 4 to the library going forward or in the future, so yay for that. The other thing, we already knew that they were adding curved pools because you could see them in the trailer and whatnot, so they showed it here. This is the gym that comes with the new world, but you can see the curved pool. There still does seem to be a little bit of glitching with the visual. It's not quite as bad as what was shown in the trailer when we saw the pool, but it does kind of look like maybe it still is a little bit. They then went on to say that the patch notes next week will go into detail about all the base game updates. And the update, of course, is expected 2 days before the pack releases, because that's normally when it would come out, and that would be Tuesday, July 23rd, and the usual time is 10 a.m. Pacific. So one thing they didn't show in the live stream was this new hairstyle, but back when we got the new hair colors via an SDX, they did say we were getting this in July, so I'm just showing it. It's from the blog post where they shared it, which I'll link to that down below. So those are the things that I either could see or in the live stream or had seen previously that seems to be coming, in addition to, of course, all the laundry list items, which were fixes. So then we're going to go into the Lovestruck Create-A-Sim. And they didn't actually show all of the Create-A-Sim, but if you want to see all of the Create-A-Sim, obviously there'll be some of the creators who have extra early access out, and they will hopefully show it all. So they showed some highlights of the clothes mainly, and a couple of the shoes, because they had Sims in outfits, and then they showed some of the different colors of those outfits, but they didn't actually go through and like show everything that you could get. But they, this is a new hair on this sim, and, they had, essentially the focus was on going out clothes for dating kind of thing, because that's the theme of the pack. The other clothes are things like that, which is pretty risque. With a lot of costumes that you can also access from the costume box, which is in the game, in the gameplay. But you can also put the clothes on your Sims in, here. My only that's a catfish, which I actually didn't know. I had to see the chat because I'm not really into that thing, and that's a peach, which they did say. And then here's some of the male clothes, and they also have their share of costumes too, and they usually, I think, have like the equivalent male, female for most of the outfits. And some of the clothes I can see me using, some not so much, and definitely not the costumes through normal play. I just hope that Sims aren't going to show up in those costumes regularly. Hopefully they're like tagged that they don't, because, I don't see the Journey to Batu outfits very much in gameplay. And, there's bear costumes, and I don't see those except for where they're supposed to. So I would hope that they're somehow tagged and flagged with something that they aren't supposed to just be on Sims randomly. I don't know if I have high expectations, but I have reasonable expectations that that's going to be the case. And this is, the butler costume and the Kiss the Cook costume, and there's a female equivalent, which we actually see when they did some of the gameplay. They showed that one. And, yeah. So they really zipped through the actual Create-A-Sim clothing and whatnot. And now we're going to actually move along to this romance dynamic and all the other things that you can set in Create-A-Sim. So with the romance dynamic, they have steamy, strained, unpredictable, and wholesome, which they mentioned in the blog post, but they showed it here. And they said you can set this in Create-A-Sim or you can do it through gameplay. I'm not sure if the set in Create-A-Sim is like with a new household, because they mentioned the growing together family dynamics. And I know with those that once they're set, you can't change them without it being changed through gameplay or with cheats. So I'm going to guess it's similar, but they didn't mention that, so I don't know. Then they mentioned the 2 new aspirations. So you have Romantic Explorer. The sim wants to explore all that romance has to offer, but this is like with one other partner, whereas the other aspiration is Paragon Partner, and the sim wants to have successful relationships with 2 or more sims. So that's not with one other partner. So those are the 2 new romance aspirations. Both are romance aspirations. And then there are 2 new traits. Romantically reserved. These sims often tread carefully in the realm of love, preferring to take their time and build solid emotional connections before jumping headfirst into romance, and that would be like a solid friendship. And then you have Love Bug. Sims with this trait are constantly swept up in the whirlwind of romance. They fall in love easily, often wearing their hearts on their sleeves, and they mentioned that they can get to like the proposal state quickly or more quickly than other sims, but it's also harder for them to maintain their relationships. So that was the two. They also conflict with each other, so you can have one or the other. Then they talked about the attraction system and the turn-ons and turn-offs. So you can see that there's 6 different categories, but those are really, there's 3 categories, and those are subsets of those categories. The 3 at the bottom are the physical, so you have hair color, outfit color, and fashion. And honestly, I could see me using hair color, maybe outfit color. I can't see me ever using fashion, but I don't do fashion with likes and dislikes either. Maybe with the outfit color. And I would have liked to seen something like eye color there. And I know I saw some people saying, things like fitness level or whether they're heavy or not. And those were things they had in previous Sims with respect to turn-ons and turn-offs, but they don't have that here. They do have sort of the way of life and characteristics, which is sort of more about the internal things about the sim. But with the way of life, there is things like fitness level and whether they're broke or not, or wealthy and whatnot. So that might come out a little bit in there. So you can see some of the examples of that. And then with the characteristics, those are essentially just the Sims characteristics, which is similar to the friendly dynamics that you get with growing together. So they're kind of the same thing. And then you also have this last category, which is this romance styles. So you have Sims who may or may not like affection, flirting, gift giving, which in the pie menu, gift giving is a subset of affection. And then you have physical intimacy and woohoo. And of course, woohoo is also really a subsection of physical intimacy when you're looking at the social menu. But here it's its own little category as to what you may or may not like. So those are things that, if your partners have different romance styles, the one thing that might work for one might not work for the other. But anyway, so that was kind of it. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the Lovestruck world. So Ciudad Enamorada, I'm not very good at saying it. So it has 3 neighborhoods, as you can see here, and there are 13 lots, which they commented in the Twitch, the Sims did. And what you can see here. So it has 13 lots, including 4 pre-populated lots with the singles hangout trade across 3 new neighborhoods, which are Vista, Hermosa, Plaza, Mariposa, and Nuevo Corazon. And 9 of the 13 lots in the world have been built by 3 Sims creators. 2 of the lots are actually empty, though you can't see that here. One of the lots it's normally empty, they used it to put all the build by stuff on, and so it doesn't show as an empty lot, but it is actually an empty lot. And they seem like they're the 2 that are empty are decent sized lots. I can't see actually what the size of any lots are, but they do seem like they're pretty good. And there's the names of the 3 Mexican creators. So Fritisorio Shikiev and Rustic Sims. And they're going to have a blog next week with more information. And then there was Rustic Sims excited about it and shared a tweet and also shared the names of the other 2 creators. So we're going to start with Vista Hermosa, and they went in and they showed it. So that's a starter home. That's an empty lot that they have in this neighborhood. And that is a home fully built that has nobody living in it. So you put your Sims in there. And this particular residential lot is the one that actually has Monica and I think her son, Carlos, who you can glimpse in the trailer in that home. So she is actually going to be in the world. And then we landed in at this, I believe it was a nightclub. And so you can see that with respect to how it looks. And pretty close to that nightclub is this wall of love where your Sims can interact with it. And then also not too far away is the rabbit hole motel that your Sims can either sleep or woohoo in, which they showed that one in the gameplay trailer. And there is also a mural, one of 2 murals in this world that was done by a Mexican artist. There's Plaza Mariposa. So then I got some video clips of that particular one. There are 4 lots in this neighborhood, and that's where the park is. So they came on their date to the park. It looks like a kind of small lot, I'd have to say, the park lot. And where the building there was not. So this is a vacation rental. So this neighborhood has a vacation rental. They had slipped instead of residential rental, but it's vacation rental you can see from the map view. And this has 4 Sims, I believe, who live in there. So that's one of the pre-populated houses in this particular neighborhood. And then there is like that one, which is normally an empty lot, but they used it for, you can see all the bright colors. I love the bright colors. It's a little bit of a sneak peek at the build by. And then they have this fountain here, which they had to go out of tab mode. And you can, wish for others happiness or unhappiness, or you can wish for love, happiness for yourself, or you can steal from the fountain. So that's in that. And that was in the trailer. I don't know if it was in both of them, but I did see it. And I remember wondering if you could wish in it because it looked like they were putting money. And then the last but not least is this Nuevo Corazon. And there are 4 lots in this neighborhood. And they actually started in this neighborhood at the gym because the gym is there. And there's 2 penthouses. And there's one of them has a nightclub, one of them has a lounge. And I don't remember which is which. This has whichever the other one is. So it might be the lounge in this neighborhood. So... and they're just sort of showing around, and it is a penthouse like how the penthouses are in San Myshuno, but there are no apartments in this world. And it's more of the dense populated in terms of the look of it and more modern. And there's the other mural that was done by by the same person who did the other mural in the other world, other neighborhood, I should say. They then mentioned that there are 3 new recipes.
And speaking of the food cart, we actually have 3 new recipes. Pambazo, which is pambazo bread dipped in fried red pepper sauce. And then pescado a la talla, which is a fish dish. And spicy hot chocolate to go along with a spicy pack.
And I guessed at the spelling of the middle one because I was trying to look it up, to be honest. I found a fish dish. That was what I said, but I don't know. That's why there was a question mark there. So that was it for the world and that little bit about the new foods, 3 new foods coming with the pack. So then they showed a little bit of the gameplay. They started with this couple, Luciana and Diego, and you can ask various things under that new relationship panel. And one of the things that you can do is to learn more, and you can ask about the attraction level, which she does. And then he responds that he is very unattracted to her. And then right after he does that, he flirts with her. So I do kind of wonder if that's because they had given them the pink, and really if one sim's not attracted to the other, maybe you don't actually get that far. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that, but we'll have to see. And then she wanted to go on a date to try and work on the relationship, which they didn't do because that wasn't in their plans. And they showed a little bit about Diego, and you can see that she's attracted to him and he's very unattracted to her, and that the relationship level is still fine. So then she goes in, and under gifts, you can buy romantic gifts with the pack, and it shows all of the things there, some flowers and some specific things that are unique to the pack, including the trunk, and then, various things that you can buy, chocolates and whatnot, that you can see a huge assortment of things that you can get. And so she buys that, and then she presents a romantic gift to him, and he actually accepts the gift, but she likes gift giving, he does not. So even though he accepts the gift, it hits his romance satisfaction, because they're really not suited to be together. So then they went and they had them go upstairs where various Sims were working out, including Bella. So they had him do a romantic introduction with her there, and you got an introduction to attraction, and she gets obviously upset because that doesn't respect her boundaries, because she does not like any type of, romantic with another Sim when you're in a relationship. So then they go through so the first time he gets a little bit of a warning, and then they have him do it again. And so we have this flirt there. And so then we get, another, where if you do that again, well, I feel this way, I'm going to break up with you. So then they had him do another romantic interaction, and then it was an automatic, they broke up. This is something that you can set, from what I recall, in your game settings, that they can't do it autonomously, breaking up with each other. But I guess the default is on. With a lot of these new things, they tend to default to on. So she's really, really sad after she breaks up with him on her own because he broke her boundaries, and that was like the third time he was out. And it wasn't just the third time, it was while she was still feeling upset from him doing it previously. If there had been a break in between, they wouldn't. So then they boot him out of the house, so she's alone, and she has romance skills, so you can scan the room at a certain level and would see who you're attracted to. And then the other thing that she can do, because her romance skill is high enough, is she can do an aura of flirtiness, which makes people in the vicinity flirty. So you can see there that which of the ever those Dina, I don't remember. Calante, she ends up being flirty and she wasn't before. So you can go on a blind date. If you're in a relationship, you can go to Cupid's counseling for 1,000 simoleons. She's not anymore. And then you can go into the Cupid's corner, which you can also deactivate. I can see there. So she went into Cupid's corner, and she's very, very sad, which of course you have to worry about because you can, die of heartbreak with this pack, which I kind of wonder. I use MCCC, and if that's if that's an emotional thing, death, so it would get disabled if you disable them in general, but it may not disable right away because it's new. I don't really know how it's going to work. But anyways, you can pick up your 4 traits, which includes the bonus trait you get, which 2 you're going to put on there. And then they showed some of the Sims there, and of course you can have it hooked up to the gallery, but with the gallery, you can opt out to have nobody from the gallery, or you can only have, creators you follow or Sims that you favorited or none. And then you can, refresh who's noted there. Every 8 hours, you can see that. They just said you can refresh it. But they end up deciding to go with Mateo, but we're scrolling through to see the different Sims. And it also will show you if you're attracted to the traits or not. And then you can save them, and once they're saved, you can add them to your contacts, or you can ask to create a date, and that's where you do the create a date. Now, I couldn't tell whether or not you still had the regular date options, because this is create a date through here, and I don't know if you do that if you're just asking someone a date or not. And you can invite someone along, which they just sort of showed that. Of course, they didn't take him. And then here's all the different activities, and you have to do at least 3. And at the very bottom, there are things that come from packs. So they actually show them and tell you what pack or packs you could get them from. So the animal ones come from various different packs. And the snowy ones can be like Snowy Escape or Seasons, where the bottom one was only Seasons. So they decided based on where they were currently at and what they want to do, what the things they want to do. Now, one thing I noted with this date was that it seemed to take a really long time for it to get up, even though they actually got the socialize fully up to 10, and they did do some of the items, which I'm just sort of saying ahead of time, which I'll show because they'll show some other things. They never got even to silver for this date, but they did end up ending the date early because they want to go to show some other things, but they only did that after they extended the date, which you can see there. You can change the venue, you can extend the date, you can end the date friendly or, abruptly. And so then they showed this fun thing where it's like the cloud gaze or stargaze, which would be at night, and they sit down. So this is different than how you do it in outdoor retreat. You usually lay down, and then they're trying to work on the date and do something affectionate. And the main reason I showed this is she's trying to do something affectionate with him and trying to initiate the first kiss. And then Mateo, as the date, they got this romantic satisfaction because they got their pink up high enough, asked to go back to her place, and they were planning on doing that anyway, so that she accepted it, and then they're back at their place. They show the sharing of the chocolate here, which they actually show them eating it together, which is really quite cute. And one thing that they've commented on here was that there are actually 2 new TV stations coming with the pack. One is a telenovela, and the other one is a reality dating TV channel. So they both like gift giving and doing this, so this works for them. Because they did show how you can ask, and they did that again here. And they asked about the romantic boundaries, and his were equal to hers, where she was like yes across the board, that she got jealous if any, of the things. Though I personally could see me actually saying no for the doing flirty things, because I find Sims just do that, or sometimes Sims misinterpret and it's not even being done just because someone's flirty around and they'll get jealous, and it annoys me. So I would never actually do it, for myself. And then they showed like there's a little trunk and she's in this little apron. But this apron ends up causing a bit of a glitch because they end up, trying to move the relationship along a little bit because they wanted to end it, with using the heart bed there, which is back, and it is not something that's tied to the new career. They do show that later in the build buy items. You can vibrate it and it changes how the Sims sound when they're on the bed and when they're talking to each other. What they said, I didn't actually hear it. The sound of the Sims wasn't that. And that's a little bit glitchy there with with the outfit, but that's, Sims. So they couldn't get what they wanted to do, so they had to do a little bit more flirting to get to the point where they did a first kiss before they could have woohoo, before that option came up. And that might be because she's a love bug. She's not romantically reserved. So, I don't know why. Anyways, I can't say I've ever really paid attention to that, but I probably usually have my first kiss before I have them woohoo. I'm guessing. So they did some cuddling in bed. And so she's in that costume and she does a weird little glitch where she changed into her PJs and then they did the cuddling. So I don't know if you can woohoo with those outfits on like they showed in the trailer because she was already in that outfit, or maybe did they both need to be in the costume because you can dress up, I think, together is what I noticed. And then they realized there was no woohoo option because we had to do the first kiss first. And so then they did the woohoo option, and you would have seen that they had extended the date. If I kept that in, I can't remember, but you saw how they did it. It was under the date options kind of thing, which it also shows up sometimes just at the top menu. It actually did show up in the top menu, but she didn't see it there, which is understandable when you're doing something live. And she found it where it is by default. So then they ended the date, which you can see wasn't at even silver. And they showed the buy items from the pack, which I'm just going to show. And they don't even know if they showed it all, but they had it all laid out. So they probably did show quite a lot of this. And there's the cart that was there and some decals on the wall. And there's the curved pools, which of course aren't Lovestruck. They're base game, but the tiles that are the trim around the pool is something that's coming with the pack. And there was like a new swing set there. And then because there's a gym, they have some gym equipment. And they have a new sliding glass door and new windows for like shower stalls, which is used in the gym. And then there was like the shower head. And then there's 3 new bars, the curb bar, the matching single tile bar, which I really like the single tile bar we got with the login event. So it's nice to have another one. And then a couple of bar backs, one of which you can put a TV in. I think the rustic one with the regular bar. And of course that closet, which you can woohoo in. And then a whole bunch of decor things. And they said that they had, some EA employees who had lived in Mexico. And this isn't, I can't think what it is. I'll put it up. But it's a collectible you can find in the world. Even though they showed it with different things, you can find it around. But they didn't show finding it in the world. They just said you can find it in the world and get a collection. You can breed them just like frogs. And then here are some of the paintings and whatnot that come with it. And then some furniture that, depending on what color you can use, could be maybe used outside versus inside. And then there's some of the tilings and the wall coverings, which that pink flower was in the room when we went back to her place. And the beds, which you have the heart bed and then another bed. And then the 2 types of portable rugs, one that looks like a bear and one that doesn't look like a bear. And those bright things on the wall. And they have canopies and they separate, and you can put them with any bed, even beds that are already in the game. So that's sort of a fun new touch that they've done. And here are the windows and some different things that you can go over it. I think they needed to do F5 to get it back over it exactly. And some of the windows and doors match the fence, and they also have like the columns, I should say, and like the trim, whatever they call it. And then that's sort of a fun little thing that goes over that type of door. And then there's a window that's similar that just changes the look. And then these 5 items are what you get from the career. And as rewards, as you go up, the new romance consultant career. And then those 2 things are for the advanced or early order purchase by September 5th. And then there's also the eyeliner that you look like you're crying. So, which they did show, but I didn't include that. And then some miscellaneous things. There was a tweet afterwards, but Agent Shawnee said, as some of you may have noticed, I no longer manage creators. She's moved over to leading live streams, and this was the first that she led. So, which makes me wonder whether we're going to be getting more live streams since she's going over to doing live streams. So it was actually live. They said that in the chat, but also she said that at the end that it was live, that she had seen the chat and that it was live. Of course, the chat was only over on Twitch. So anyways, as I said, some creators got extra early access, and Krinrick was someone who got extra early access. And this was sort of her thoughts on playing with the early access version of the game. They only played with the base game and Lovestruck, and the software wasn't final. So when she was testing the software that wasn't final, she came across 2 major bugs and some minor ones. Hopefully they'll fix the major ones before release. And she did test some of the laundry list items that were base game, and they looked okay. Of course, there were some things that were not just base game, so she wouldn't have been able to test that. But then this is the part that I think is pretty important, the last 2. As history shows, usually it's with all packs and existing saves that the real issues show. So if you're on the fence, wait for reports first. Make sure to check the bug form, what's being reported. And for her, it was fine playing. She didn't have any corruption or anything, but she again was only playing with base and Lovestruck. As always, I recommend you back up your saves and not play with any legacy saves until we know what's going on with these saves. And remove your mods and custom content, or wait until patching until they are updated. So don't do the update, the game update, or get the pack until you know your mods have been updated. If you can't play without your mods, which is what I would usually say too. So keep in mind, if you're watching that extra early access that's going live this weekend of July 19th, that is not final software. And what you see, say, next week after the game update, when you don't have the creator name on it, that should be more final version. If you're seeing glitches, you might want to watch then to see if they've been fixed. But I'd like to know whether you actually watched the live stream or watched any early access stuff. And if so, what you think about what you've seen, or what you think about what I showed here. I'd love to know in a comment down below. But that's going to be it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!